So kind of like my Mad Spirit video, I made a new character just for the woods here. When I say territorial spirits, I'm talking specifically about Farron Loyalists and Aldrich Faithfuls. Dark Souls always has a territory invasion area. Dark Souls 2 had introduced two locations, but this is the first one where we've got two different covenants to really kind of cover everything. Yeah, so it's basically a location that will draw Covenanters into a host world as an invader when said host crosses a certain boundary point during an online game. This has always been a popular entry point for PvPers. I know it was for me before I started invading regularly in the first game. It's not that because it's safe, it's guiltless, you don't lose anything. I talked a little bit about morality in the Red Spirit video, but a big part of that's just, people don't necessarily like the idea of just crashing someone's game right away, so they'll ease into it maybe as a blue or as a territorial spirit because technically you're defending, you're not attacking. Now these two areas of the game will have extra space for two Covenanters in an area, which is why hosts will have to dry finger to get extra phantoms in. That also makes them popular hotspots, of course, for player versus player. A lot of players will be using these areas to get kind of online sessions going for various reasons, not only to get through an area, but more likely to sit in an area and draw players in with password buddies in tow, and that's a big part of it. But also a lot of invaders will make use of this as well because of the traffic, and they'll pop their red orbs, and they'll come in also for tongues and for shackles or what have you. Take a look at my friend here. Now, not only is this guy the coolest dude in Farron, but he's been in the woods since 2011. Okay, these guys are always there. You're gonna run into them. You're gonna run into them more often in the post-Pontiff area. But for the most part, you have a lot of leeway as a territorial spirit. Okay, you have friends. On a normal situation, normal conditions, you're going to have at least two Aldriches or two Loyalists that can come in to an area, because there's always room for you to. If the host is dry fingering, that might change. Later on, you'll see an example of more than two Covenanters coming in. But it's a guiltless thing. You come in, you do your thing, you have your sigil on as you play your own game, or if you're waiting around. Now you can do this one early in the woods, being a watchdog. You just have to beat Vort, and then you can proceed through the road of sacrifices, go through the swamp, get to the old wolf, join the Covenant. This guy, like I said, is a new character. I had a few other people I was using, but they were a little bit too high, maybe closer to 40, and I was getting dedicated gang squads at that point. I'd say the sweet spot really 25 to 35, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more at +2, +3 reinforcements, probably the best. And you'll get a lot of people like this, people who are just really playing through the area, and they have to kind of go through the gauntlet of Covenanters like yourself. That's just better, in my opinion. I guess everyone could play the way they want, but just know if you go a little bit too high, you'll probably be getting the more dedicated groups of guys that are there to fight, not necessarily to play the game, forward and backward. But you could also get people higher than that. On my Blue Spirit video, which is one of the older ones I did for this series, I was coming in to help people as high as level 60 at +6 reinforcements. So there's always activity in here. I think the higher you go, it's probably going to be more towards the Pontiff area. Another reason why I like this Covenant in this area, it's really just the location of the game. Farron and the swamp is kind of a transitional spot for a lot of players. This is usually where people are getting comfortable with their point allotment, they're discovering how to play the game properly, they're using their stats more assuredly so they know what kind of builds they want to make. So people are a little bit more even, when they encounter other players in invasion situations. So I feel like it's a little bit more fair for everybody involved. Okay, so I want to talk about red spirits for a second specifically, and territorial spirits and their checkered relationship. Now, you can hurt each other. You'll never quite know if you're in a game session with an ally or a potential enemy when a red spirit's around. They will come in. You'll probably see more of them than anything else, besides the host and their allies. Red spirits can assist you fighting a host. A lot of them will, but they can just as easily turn on you for no reason either. It'll just happen. And look, you're never gonna know what the situation is. Every player is different. Some reds invade an area and they're doing it because they want to fight. They don't care who they fight. If you're in the way, they'll just attack you. They'll have to just be ready for it when it happens. Be ready to deal with anyone. Red spirits are probably going to be more dangerous than most hosts or phantoms because, like you, they're not affected by the level enemies and all that. And plus, red spirits, as you know, they just invade more regularly, so they probably have more PvP experience overall. Now, you're going to be in the woods, you're going to be in Post-Pontiff, and my advice in both regards here is to keep things diplomatic if you can, but don't take your eyes off of them, okay? Look, a big part of it, too, is that no one likes getting interrupted or interfered with. Sometimes a red will just turn on you because you're tagging them while they're going for the host or they're going for a parry or something, and you end up running in off screen and just mess everything up. It's important to be aware of your surroundings too. If you have someone else near you that's not currently being hostile, you might do an action that will make them hostile if they feel like you're giving them too much trouble. Sometimes you're more trouble than you're worth alive, and that goes both ways too. Sometimes you're going to want to get a red out of the picture if they're just screwing up your run against the host too. So a lot of it's just going to come down to courtesy. Most situations will be about that kind of thing. Just be mindful. You don't hurt another loyalist. You don't hurt another faithful. So when you have one of your guys, you could swing away. Don't worry about it. But when you've got a red in the picture, and they're being chill with you, don't run in with your straight sword just willy-nilly going all ham with it, because you might take on another enemy that you didn't have before. So just remember that. It's a big part of it too. But again, everything's unpredictable. One thing I can tell you is that blue spirits and mound makers are a little bit different. Never trust a mound maker. We've covered that already in the other videos. Just sometimes they're cool, but just be careful. Blue spirits obviously are there to protect the host. They get called in for the orb invaders, not you. Don't forget that. However, if the host dies, they still lose. So if you're in there, your objective is to kill their host, so they're still going to be hostile. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I've been in situations where I've actually come into games here. I actually had a video about it if you wanted to check it before on my channel. But I was in a game where a host was actually trolling blue sentinels with a red in the game, a random red. And I tripped up the trolling act, and the blue sentinel obviously didn't notice or didn't care and turned on me anyway. So sometimes, it doesn't matter what you do in the situation. Just if you see a blue, kill the blue like they were a white phantom or a gold phantom. Something else I want to go over. I don't usually talk about builds on these Covenant videos, but because I made this guy specifically for the video, I thought I'd cover it a little bit here. So I was trying to find a good balance of levels to record for this area for this video. The character I was using, I got footage at level 40, like I was saying, but I wasn't getting players like this. I wanted to show this part of it because the rest of my video for the Eldritch Faithful is going to be focused more on just meta level stuff, which is going to be just straight PvPers. I really wanted to kind of keep a character at a certain point that would exclusively be getting the questers You know, so I went with level 36 with this character, plus 3 reinforcement on my gear. Um, it was an easy baked twink, I guess you could say. I offloaded some items from another character, or someone helped me with a trade. But for the most part, I ended up not using a lot of the weapons I had traded. I was going to use a bunch of different axes from late game, but as you can see, most of the gear I'm currently wearing outside of my rings are going to be stuff you get pretty early in here. Obviously, the rings are, Ring City type stuff with the plus 3s or the prisoner's chain there. And of course, my utility belt's got just consumables and throwables that I thought would be good. You can see my stat allotment's not too high. The prisoner's chain helps a little bit here. I would recommend considering getting this close to, meta stuff for health and your attack stats if you can, if you're going to give it a shot. But yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good build. Having high poise helps too. My yellow jester, you might remember from my summon spirit video. I used him for my Aldrich faithful footage. He's a little bit high. If you remember, he's level 125. So the situation I got, in here was pretty much what's standard. It's night and day. I want to just say that up front. A lot of the footage I've used here, it's might seem like a complete crapshoot of just players murdering each other. In a lot of cases, one side's either ganking the other or the other way around, and that's pretty much how this area goes. This area of the game, you should know, it's pretty much what the woods, the Darkroot Garden was in Dark Souls 1. It's what the Belfry Soul kind of became in Dark Souls 2. It's what Farron Woods can be at certain level ranges and certain days of the week, but for the most part, that Post-Pontiff area is always like this. You're just going to be seeing people coming in, trying builds, trying gang spanks. It's pretty much what it's good for. You're not going to run into a whole lot of people questing unless you're maybe closer to level 60, level 70. And even then, you'd be surprised. I recorded some footage of that level 2, and it was pretty much the same as this. I don't think I got a single questing party for this entire session of recording, so it's definitely going to be one of those things where I'm going to say good luck. Still though, the same things I was saying before apply. You're going to be pretty much free to just invade at random so long as you've prepped your character right. So don't worry too much about dying. You're going to die. You're going to have people point down. They're going to throw poo at you. They're going to throw their gemstones on the ground to mark your grave. And it's just know that. This is not new. It's 2018. This place is just going strong since the launch year of Dark Souls 3. This is where you go if you just want complete bedlam, chaos, all that stuff. It's great also to just run in here as a faithful and just try your hand at PvP, because you learn a lot just dying a lot in these games, and that's true for player versus player as well as PvE. Look at this mound maker. I was so nervous this guy was going to turn on me, but remember, never trust a mound maker. That guy was pretty chill though. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so just never turn your back. But yeah, this is chaos. Okay, I would prefer personally to do the Farron stuff all day if I had to pick one for the Territorial Spirit stuff. But this is the more popular place. More players are here than anything else. There will be players in the Post-Pontiff area when every other area of the game is dead. It's just always going to be here. So remember, if you ever need to just soak your head in just absolute mayhem, this is where you're gonna come. Now, you're gonna get hosts that are almost always rocking the dried fingers. So normal parameters for spirits coming in aren't going to be the standard. You might have 3 faithfuls. You might have a host that summoned a bunch of red spirits for a fight club. I didn't get any fight clubs, surprisingly, but usually when I do this Covenant in the past, I'll usually see a lot of people just chilling out over here. People will jump off a edge to end their session so they could re-summon if the invaders ever mount a successful offensive and take them out. These victories you're seeing here, make no mistake, I don't feel bad about any of this. These are hosts that lost a Phantom and then the invaders turned the tables. A lot of invaders died to get us to this point. Usually the games ended up looking like this for me. Yeah, so don't feel bad, use your Hornet Ring, and have fun, kids.